If you've been riding long enough, you know power isn't just speed. It's control under pressure. In 2026, there are still motorcycles you can buy that deliver serious horsepower and torque without apology. Machines that reward experience and punish carelessness. Today, we're counting down the 15 most powerful motorcycles you can buy in 2026, starting with usable authority and building toward outright excess. This list escalates quickly, and each step up changes what power actually feels like on the road. Watch this one through to the end. The final bikes show just how far production motorcycle power is still being pushed in 2026. Number 15. Suzuki Hayabusa. Some motorcycles never disappear, they mature. This machine entered the world during an era when manufacturers chased top-speed headlines. And decades later, it still carries that reputation without acting desperate. Riders who remember carburetors, steel frames, and honest horsepower recognize its silhouette instantly because it symbolized excess before excess became normal. What keeps it relevant today is not shock value, but refinement layered over hard-earned history. The riding position favors long days, the motor pulls without tantrums, and the overall feel respects experienced hands rather than punishing them. It is fast enough to humble almost anything on the highway, yet calm enough to cross states without numbing wrists or knees. That balance matters more as years add miles to the body. Ownership also carries a quiet satisfaction, knowing this platform survived regulation waves, fashion cycles, and internet critics without losing its identity. It never pretended to be a track toy or a luxury tourer. It simply delivered massive performance with reliability baked in. That honesty resonates with riders who value machines that age alongside them. It produces 190 horsepower from 1,340 cubic centimeters, delivers 104 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo dual front disc braking with anti-lock braking system, runs fully adjustable KYB suspension, weighs 528 pounds wet, carries a seat height of 31 inches, and starts at $19,200. Refinement set the baseline, but raw exposure changes the conversation fast. Number 14. Ducati Streetfighter V4S. Strip away the fairings, and there is nowhere to hide. This motorcycle was built for riders who understand throttle control and consequences. It carries the posture of a street brawler, upright and exposed, yet the heart underneath comes straight from championship racing. Older riders feel the difference immediately because the power arrives without apology and demands respect, not heroics. Long experience matters here, more than quick reactions or electronic faith. The ride reminds you that modern engineering can still feel raw when designers choose aggression over comfort. Living with the Streetfighter is less about bragging rights and more about self-honesty. Wind pressure is constant, heat rises quickly in traffic, and the chassis tells the truth through the bars. For riders who grew up before rider aids took over, that honesty feels familiar. It is not relaxed, but it is thrilling in a way that recalls earlier muscle bikes with sharper edges. Pride comes from mastering it, not taming it. It produces 208 horsepower from 1,103 cubic centimeters, delivers 90.4 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo Stylema braking with anti-lock braking system, runs Öhlins Smart EC2 electronic suspension, weighs 478 pounds wet, carries a seat height of 33.3 inches, and starts at $24,995. When restraint disappears, forced induction rewrites what power feels like. If this breakdown matches what you are seeing on the road, support the channel by liking this video, subscribing for weekly rider-level analysis, and sharing your own experience in the comments so this conversation reflects real miles, not marketing noise. Number 13. Kawasaki Ninja H2 SX. Long-distance speed used to mean compromise, but this machine rewrote that assumption for riders who refuse to choose between comfort and intimidation. It looks civilized, carries luggage without apology, and settles into highway miles with an ease that feels almost deceptive. Underneath that calm skin sits a motor built to remind seasoned riders that engineering can still surprise them. Throttle response feels immediate yet controlled, and passing power arrives without downshifts or drama. For riders who have crossed states on big twins or flat six tourers, that effortless surge feels like quiet authority rather than spectacle. Living with the H2 SX is about confidence over flash. Wind protection works, seating stays humane after hours, and stability never disappears when speeds climb. Electronics exist to support the ride, not replace judgment, which matters to those who learned control long before rider aids. Pride comes from knowing this motorcycle can haul gear, handle weather, and still outpace machines built only for weekend thrills. It respects experience, not ego. It produces 207 horsepower from 998 cubic centimeters, delivers 103 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo dual disc braking with anti-lock braking system, runs Kawasaki electronic control suspension front and rear, weighs 573 pounds wet, carries a seat height of 33.3 inches, and starts at $27,999. Boost is one solution, yet some engineers still believe size tells the truth. For riders wondering about the setup I use when dealing with serious power, the gear and accessories are listed below in the description. Back to the countdown. Number 12. Aprilia Tuono V4 1100 factory. Some motorcycles feel like they were built to keep riders safe. This one was built to keep riders honest. It strips away comfort excuses and replaces them with immediate feedback, sharp responses, and a posture that tells you exactly what kind of day you are about to have. Older riders recognize this tone instantly because it feels closer to earlier muscle machines that demanded respect instead of forgiveness. The riding position is upright, but tense. The heat reminds you the engine is working, and the chassis speaks clearly through every input. Nothing here is casual, yet nothing feels sloppy. Living with the Tuono is about knowing your limits before the bike finds them for you. Around town it behaves, but it never forgets what it is capable of. On open roads, the power builds fast and stays urgent, rewarding smooth hands and punishing impatience. Riders who came up without traction control safety nets often appreciate this. Clarity, because it mirrors how motorcycles used to communicate. Pride comes from control, not comfort, and from choosing a machine that does not dilute its purpose. It produces 175 horsepower from 1,099 cubic centimeters, delivers 82 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo Stylema braking with anti-lock braking system, runs Erlen's semi-active electronic suspension, weighs 478 pounds wet, carries a seat height of 33.5 inches, and starts at $19,999. Precision fades when torque becomes the priority rather than control. Number 11. Harley-Davidson 𝐉𝐵O Road Glide. Long highway miles expose pretenders quickly, and this machine was built for riders who judge power by how it carries weight at speed. It settles into the lane with authority, holds a line in crosswinds, and delivers thrust without needing to be wrung out. Years of touring experience show up here. In the way heat is managed, controls fall naturally to hand, and stability never feels nervous. Pride comes from covering distance in comfort, while knowing there is still strength in reserve. Living with the Road Glide is about presence rather than speed records. The fairing cuts fatigue, the seating supports long days, and the motor works in the range real riders actually use. This is power meant for passing loaded trucks, climbing grades 2 up, and rolling effortlessly from dawn to dusk. Riders who value heritage recognize that this approach never chased trends. It stayed loyal to torque, mass, and confidence. Even as styling debates came and went, it produces approximately 105 horsepower from 1,923 cubic centimeters, delivers 140 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo linked braking with anti-lock braking system, runs Showa front forks with rear shock suspension, weighs 938 pounds wet, carries a seat height of 26.6 inches, and starts at $46,999. Engineering discipline answers torque with a very different philosophy. Number 10. BMW K 1600 Grand America. Some motorcycles chase power by shouting about it. This one delivers it quietly, the way expensive machinery always has. The first miles tell you everything: smooth pull, steady balance, and a sense that the engine was designed to work all day without drama. Riders who have spent decades on big touring rigs recognize this feeling immediately. Nothing vibrates, nothing feels rushed, and nothing asks for constant attention. It simply goes mile after mile with authority that never feels strained. Living with the Grand America is about endurance rather than excitement. Long highway stretches disappear beneath the wheels, and fatigue stays surprisingly low for a machine carrying this much presence. The engine's character matters here, because smooth power preserves focus when the road stretches past comfort. Riders who value reliability over flash appreciate how everything feels engineered first and marketed second. There is pride in riding something that works this well without trying to impress anyone at a stoplight. It produces 160 horsepower from 1,649 cubic centimeters, delivers 135 pound-feet of torque, uses dual front disc braking with anti-lock braking system, runs electronically adjustable front and rear suspension, weighs 772 pounds wet, carries a seat height of 29.5 inches, and starts at $29,995. Smooth authority gives way to a machine that rewards aggression over comfort. Number 9. Yamaha YZF-R1M. Some motorcycles feel like machines. Others feel like instruments. This one belongs in the second category because everything about it responds with intention. From the first roll of the throttle, it communicates through sound, vibration, and feedback that rewards experience over impulse. Riders who remember the early days of high-revving fours recognize the character immediately. It does not rely on brute torque at low speed. Instead, it builds urgency as the road opens, asking the rider to stay present and precise. Living with the R1M is not about comfort or compromise. It is about clarity. The chassis feels tight, the steering feels exact, and the engine encourages commitment rather than casual cruising. For riders who spent years learning throttle discipline without electronic safety nets, this motorcycle feels familiar in spirit, even if the technology has advanced. Pride comes from riding something that still demands skill, not from owning the latest trend. It produces 198 horsepower from 998 cubic centimeters, delivers 83 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo dual front disc braking with anti-lock braking system, runs Öhlins electronically controlled front and rear suspension, weighs 448 pounds wet, carries a seat height of 33.7 inches, and starts at $26,799. Italian obsession sharpens the blade far beyond what balance intended. Number 8. Ducati Panigale V4S SP2. Some machines feel less like transportation and more like declarations. This one exists because engineers were allowed to ignore moderation and build something frighteningly close to a race bike with plates. Riders who remember when homologation specials were rare will recognize the intent immediately. Everything feels tight, focused, and impatient, as if the bike is always waiting for a clear road. Comfort is secondary. Visibility is limited, and the riding position reminds you that this machine was never designed for casual miles. Living with the Panigale is an exercise in acceptance. Heat builds quickly, attention is mandatory, and mistakes carry consequences. Yet, for riders who spent years chasing mechanical purity, there is satisfaction in knowing nothing here is diluted. It rewards commitment, precision, and respect, echoing the era when motorcycles demanded involvement instead of offering forgiveness. Pride comes from riding it well, not often. It produces 214 horsepower from 1,103 cubic centimeters, delivers 91 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo Stylema braking with anti-lock braking system, runs Öhlins electronic front and rear suspension, weighs 428 pounds wet, carries a seat height of 33.5 inches, and starts at approximately $45,000. Competition heritage intensifies when comfort stops being a consideration. Number 7. Aprilia RSV 1100 Factory. Race machines used to stay on tracks, separated from the street by cost, legality, and common sense. This motorcycle erased that boundary almost entirely. Everything about it feels purpose-built, from the narrow chassis to the way it changes direction with a thought. Riders who grew up watching superbike racing will recognize the lineage immediately. This is not styled to suggest performance. It exists because performance came first. The riding position is aggressive, the feedback constant, and the margin for error slim. Experience matters here more than enthusiasm. Living with the RSV is a commitment to discipline. It rewards smooth inputs and punishes laziness, reminding riders of an era when mastering a machine meant adapting yourself to it. There is little pretense of comfort, yet there is deep satisfaction in knowing you are riding something barely filtered from competition. For seasoned riders, that honesty feels refreshing. Pride comes from capability, not convenience, and from knowing this motorcycle will always have more to give than most riders will ever ask. It produces 214 horsepower from 1,099 cubic centimeters, delivers 91 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo racing, braking with anti-lock braking system, runs Öhlins Smart EC3 electronic suspension, weighs 458 pounds wet, carries a seat height of 33.9 inches, and starts at $28,999. Power takes a darker turn once artificial limits are no longer respected. If you value straight talk about power, machines, and where riding is headed, make sure you are subscribed now, because every episode ahead is built for riders who respect experience, mechanical truth, and motorcycles that refuse to play it safe. Number 6. Kawasaki Ninja H2. There was a time when forced induction belonged to hot rods and race paddocks, not production motorcycles. This machine shattered that assumption and forced the entire industry to respond. It does not ease riders into its capabilities or pretend to be polite. The moment the throttle opens, you feel the mechanical urgency that comes from compressing air and fuel beyond what tradition ever allowed. Riders who remember when 100 horsepower felt outrageous understand why this bike changed conversations overnight. It is not subtle, and it was never meant to be. Living with the H2 demands respect more than bravery. The chassis stays composed, but the acceleration feels relentless, even at highway speeds. This is not about chasing top-end numbers for bragging rights. It is about experiencing power delivery that feels mechanical, deliberate, and almost industrial. Experienced riders appreciate that the electronics exist to manage physics, not replace judgment. Pride comes from knowing when to use restraint, because the machine itself has none. It produces 228 horsepower from 998 cubic centimeters, delivers 101 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo Stylema braking with anti-lock. Braking system runs Showa balance. Free front forks with balance-free rear shock suspension, weighs 528 pounds wet, carries a seat height of 32.7 inches, and starts at $33,499. Excess without superchargers proves displacement still has a voice. Number 5. MV. Agusta Brutale 1000 RS. Some motorcycles feel designed by committees. This one feels designed by obsession. It carries itself like a piece of mechanical art, but the moment it moves, any illusion of delicacy disappears. The riding position is upright, yet the response is sharp and demanding, reminding seasoned riders that naked does not mean gentle. Those who remember the era when performance bikes were raw and uncompromising will recognize the attitude immediately. There is no attempt to soften the experience or hide the intent. Living with the Brutale is about accepting intensity in exchange for character, heat, vibration, and constant awareness come with the territory. But so does the satisfaction of riding something unapologetically focused. This is not a motorcycle built for long interstate days or casual errands. It is built for riders who value engagement over convenience and who still believe a machine should demand something back. Pride here comes from ownership of rarity and from mastering power delivered without filters. It produces 212 horsepower from 998 cubic centimeters, delivers 84 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo radial braking with anti-lock braking system, runs Öhlins electronic front forks with Öhlins rear shock suspension, weighs 454 pounds wet, carries a seat height of 33.1 inches, and starts at $32,998. Brute torque challenges elegance when engineers favor muscle over art. Number 4. 𝐾𝐻 1390 Super Duke R Evo. Some motorcycles feel engineered. This one feels unleashed. From the moment you sit on it, there is a sense that restraint was never part of the design brief. The stance is tall and aggressive, the bars wide, and the feedback immediate. Riders who grew up on big twins recognize the attitude instantly, because torque defines the experience more than revs ever could. It lunges forward with authority, not drama, and it does so without hiding behind bodywork or comfort features. Living with the Super Duke is about physical engagement. The motor pulls hard from low speed, the chassis stays alert, and the bike constantly reminds you to stay involved. This is not a machine that flatters laziness. It rewards riders who understand throttle control and body position, and it punishes sloppy inputs. Older riders often appreciate this honesty, because it mirrors how motorcycles felt before electronics softened every edge. Pride comes from controlling something that never pretends to be polite. It produces 180 horsepower from 1,351 cubic centimeters, delivers 104 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo dual disc braking with anti-lock braking system, runs WP semi-active electronic front forks with rear shock suspension, weighs 461 pounds wet, carries a seat height of 34.2 inches, and starts at $24,998. Efficiency steps forward to prove discipline can rival brutality. Number 3. Suzuki GSX-R 1000R. Some motorcycles earn loyalty by never changing their core mission. This one has survived decades of racing pressure, regulation shifts, and market noise without losing its edge. It was built for riders who respect balance as much as brute force, and that philosophy shows the moment it rolls onto open pavement. Steering feels deliberate, power delivery stays predictable, and the chassis communicates without drama. Riders with long memories recognize this approach because it mirrors an era when performance came from refinement rather than spectacle. Living with the GSX-R is about trust. The engine does not surprise you. The brakes feel consistent lap after lap, and the bike rewards smooth hands instead of reckless inputs. For experienced riders, that predictability translates into confidence, especially when riding hard without electronic babysitting. Pride comes from knowing the machine will do exactly what you ask. Nothing more and nothing less. Mile after mile, it produces 199 horsepower from 999 cubic centimeters, delivers 86 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo dual front disc braking with anti-lock braking system, runs Showa Balance, free front forks with balance-free rear shock suspension, weighs 447 pounds wet, carries a seat height of 32.3 inches, and starts at $17,999. Exclusivity reshapes power, when rarity matters as much as speed. Number 2. MV Agusta F4 RC. Some motorcycles exist to be ridden. This one exists to prove a point. It was created in an era when manufacturers still believed there should be no apology for excess, no dilution for mass appeal, and no compromise for comfort. Everything about it feels intentional and ceremonial, from the materials to the way it demands attention, even while standing still. Riders who remember when homologation specials meant something will understand its purpose immediately. This is not transportation. It is a statement of capability and restraint at the same time. Living with the F4 RC is not about convenience or daily use. It is about stewardship. The riding position is focused, the engine character is urgent, and the machine constantly reminds you that it was engineered without concern for traffic or fatigue. For experienced riders, there is pride in owning something that was never meant to please everyone. It rewards respect, patience, and mechanical sympathy, values that older riders learned long before modern electronics softened the experience. Pride here is quiet, earned, and deeply personal. It produces 212 horsepower from 998 cubic centimeters, delivers 82 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo racing braking with anti-lock braking system, runs fully adjustable Öhlins front forks with Öhlins rear shock suspension, weighs 428 pounds wet, carries a seat height of 32.9 inches, and starts at $46,998. All remaining boundaries disappear once purpose overtakes legality. Number 1. Kawasaki Ninja H2R. Some motorcycles stretch limits. This one ignores them entirely. It was never built to commute, cruise, or compromise, and that is exactly why it sits alone at the top. Everything about it exists for one purpose: absolute mechanical domination. Riders who, remember, when manufacturers chased bragging rights without apology, will recognize the mindset instantly. This machine is not about comfort, balance, or practicality. It is about proving what happens when engineers are told no rulebook matters anymore. Living with the H2R is not ownership in the traditional sense. It is access. There are no street manners to soften the experience and no concessions to fatigue or convenience. The power delivery feels violent, immediate, and relentless, demanding full attention at all times. For seasoned riders, the appeal is not speed alone, but the honesty of a machine that never pretends to be something else. It represents an era many thought was gone, when engineering ambition mattered more than regulations or mass appeal. Pride here comes from understanding what it is, not pretending you would use it every day. It produces 310 horsepower from 998 cubic centimeters with ram air, delivers 114 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo racing braking without anti-lock braking system, runs fully adjustable race-spec front forks with rear shock suspension, weighs 476 pounds dry, carries a seat height of 33.3 inches, and starts at $57,999. Power has never been just about numbers. It's about judgment, restraint, and knowing what a machine asks from you in return. These bikes represent the outer edge of what manufacturers were still willing to build in 2026, and not all of them will be around much longer. If you've ridden any of these, or think one was missing, drop your experience in the comments. If this breakdown earned your respect, tap like, subscribe, and stick around for real rider-level truth.